Hello friend, welcome back. In all that previous video, we work in our CSS and also you work in our HTML, right? I have already added some of the validation. Now for this project, two things I want to complete. Like if there have any error, I want to display some of the custom message. Okay, here it should be display some of the custom message, and also it should be check our password and then confirm password is the same or not. So that is the main two things I want to complete. For doing this, if you there is another validation as a constraint validation API. If you search into the Google as a constraint validation API, so that is one of the resources, and into these resources here they have some of the method. Like you can see, there is one of the method as a check validity method. So with this, it will be check our form is validate or not. So when this form will be as invalid, then that will be returned as a false, and when that will be as a valid, then that will be returned as a true. Okay, so that is one of the method as a check validity method, and also there is another method as a set custom validity message. Okay, so here that will be also needed. So right now I want to do and first of all work in our this check validity. If you click it, now you can see it's now show that is one of the HTML object element. Okay, first of all it should be load one of the HTML object element, and then that is our method. So now let's do that work. For doing this, now I want to work in our script, that means our script.js. Okay, so into this script.js, first of all I want to take our form. Okay, if you go into this form area, I have already passed one of the ID. So first of all I want to get this ID. So if you want to get this ID, what exactly I have to do? Here we have to get it by the query selector, right? Now in our script, I want to write down this code. That will be I take another constant variable. Okay, that is a constant, and I just name it as a form. Constant variable as a form. Okay, and then that will be as a document. Okay, document, and then the query selector. So that is a query selector. So with this query selector, I want to take our ID, right? I hope you already remember that part. Our ID name, our ID is here. I name it as a form. So when you use that as an ID, then that will be obviously one of the hash, right? Hash and then your ID name. And after that we have to add one of the event listener, right? What a type of event is that? If you go to that is our form, and in our register, into the register I type will be as a submit, right? Now I want to take it. So if you want to take it, then that will be as a form, right? So that is in our form area. Into this form, that is I want to add on the add event listener, and event listener, first of all, that will be as a type, right? So that will be our submit type. I simply added that submit type, and then I want to add another functional array, like that will be as a array function. I simply loaded this array function. Okay, and into this array function area, I want to pass one of the event as a one of the e event object. Okay, I simply pass it. Great. And also when you submit this register page, I don't want to refresh this page. That means all that element will be executed. So here I want to make as a event. There is a prevent default. Remember, that is our this event will be as a prevent. That is a prevent default. I simply loaded this function in here. Okay, and also I want to declare that a validate form, that will be a validate form. I name that as a validate form. So that is our validate form. Great, because here we have to also check our form is valid or not. Now we have to create this method, right? Here I want to create this method. Better I want to create it in here. Okay, I want to create that will be as a function, and then our method name as a validate form method. Okay, and into this validate form method area, here for the first time I want to make it as a false, because here that will be obviously as a false. So I take one of the variable and I just name it as a is valid. Okay, that is one of the variable name, whatever the name actually choose. For the first time I make it as a false. Okay friend, and now I want to access our this method. Okay, that is a method as I told you as a check validity. So for the first time I make it as a false. So now if you want to access this check validity, I better copy it, and now here I want to do that is valid. I want to make it this, that will be into the form, right? And this is valid, I want to make this as a form. Okay, that is a form, and this form I want to access with this method as a check validity method. Okay, and now if you want to check it with the console log, okay, console, and with the console log area, here I want to check our this is valid. Okay, if you want to check it, so that is our is valid. But here one things, like if you click as a save all, and if you go and then if you refresh it, and right now all that field is required, and if you click as a register, you can see it's already get one of the validation message, but that is one of the HTML validation message, right? That is a default one of the HTML validation message. So first of all, we have to off it. Okay, that means we have to stop it. Then if you want to do that work, then in our input there index HTML, and that is our form, right? So that is actually our form. Here I want to add it as a no validate. Okay, that is a no validate. You can see there is a no validate. Now that will be not display our HTML validation. Now we want to display our JavaScript validation. Here I have already added another field. Remember, as h3 field, I pass one of the ID as a message, right? So now first of all, I want to take this ID in our script into this script area. That will be, I take on the constant variable. Okay, I take on the constant variable and I just name it as a message, whatever the name actually choose, and then the document, and then the query selector, and then here I want to get this ID. So if you want to get this ID, that will be as a hash, and then our ID name as a message, right? Now I want to add this message. Great. Here we have already get our specific ID with the query selector. Now I want to do also, if you want to check it what exactly the data is displayed, because I have already added that console log as invalid, right? What exactly that our invalid data, like I click as a save all. Now if you go, because I have already make it what? I have already make that as a no validate. So right now our HTML validation will be not display. If you now click as a refresh, and now if you make all that field is required, so you can see it's become already red. If you now click as a register, and now you can see it's not display our HTML all the data. Now if you go to that inspect, that means HTML validation is not visible, but into the console area I have already passed. You can see it's now perfectly display as a false. Okay, here I have already passed it as is valid as a check validity. It should be check all that field is valid or not. So right now our is valid result as a false. Okay, that means that is actually false. It's now perfectly display. Great. So now with this I want to add another condition, and with this condition I want to actually display it. It's very easy, all that process. Like here there is a console log. Okay, into this console log I want to do, after that I want to add another if condition. Okay, I place one of the if condition, and into this if condition area here I want to do when that will be as a not is valid. Okay, not is valid, that means when that will be as a not is valid, then I want to display one of the message. Okay, so now I have already take that our ID, and I take that things with this variable, and now with this message I want to make one of the text content type. Okay, that is a text content. I want to display some of the text content as a please. Okay, please fill out all fields. So this type of the message that will be displayed. And also I want to add one of the color. So if you want to use that color, that will be as a message, and then the style. Okay, style I want to use that style as a color. So color I want to make it as a red. Okay, red. Now that should be display this validation. If you now click as a save all, and now this message should be display. I have already take it with the query selector in your index. So before this form, that is should be display in here. Now if you go click as a refresh, right now all that our field is empty. Click as a register. Yes, you can see it's now successfully display as a please fill out all fields. So that is our custom message is now successfully display. I hope friend it's very much clear to you. So right now if you want to add different type of validation, you can actually add all that our HTML validation in here with the JavaScript. Okay, so thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.